Hi, I'm Richard Norgard. I was born and raised in Port Clinton, Ohio, about 60 or 70 miles west of here. I'm a writer. My very first job was as a newspaper reporter for the Port Clinton News-Herald. And soon after that, I went into the United States Army and spent 20 years in the Army. But I was always thinking about writing. I was always writing little stories to myself. And I ended up in Alaska and with the Army and was there for about 21 years. And during that time, I retired from the Army and decided I want to really start writing professionally now that I'm out of the Army. And so I had this idea for a novel. And this novel, which would eventually become Trophy Kill, is a fictional thriller piece about a man who is killed on a hunting trip. And it's about a private investigator who has fallen onto hard times. And he loves Alaska. He went up there with his wife, who was tragically killed, and it is believed that she committed suicide. But Sidney Reed, the private investigator, he never fully believed that story. But he is suffering because of her loss and trying to figure out what to do, trying to put his life back together. And he's not really getting work anymore. He has difficulty working, he's drinking. The house that he and his wife once lived in has been sold, and now he's living above a coffee shop in a rather dingy apartment, trying to sort of figure out his life, pull himself back together. And what happens is that a woman comes to him, recommended by an attorney that Sidney used to do a lot of work for. And so she comes to him and says, "Can you help me? There's a man who I am planning on marrying, but I'm not really sure if I can trust him. I think he might be having an affair. So could you follow him?" Well, Sidney reluctantly agrees to do this, thinking that this will help bring his life back together. And so he agrees to follow this man. And then from there on, the story takes an unusual turn, and then it gets into the mystery. And I can't really tell you more than that, other than the fact that it takes various twists and turns. And by the end of the story, Sidney is on the road, perhaps, to coming back to the life he once knew. Now, this is Trophy Kill. This first book in the Sidney Reed series is but the first of three in a planned series. The second book, Roadkill, is on the verge of being completed. And then the third book in the series will be called Winter Kill. And these three books will all sort of come together by the very end with the story of what happened to his wife. And he will, hopefully by the end of all this, he will have figured it out. And he will try to get his life back to normal again. But what I'd like to do is maybe just read a short passage from Trophy Kill. And at this particular point in time, he has been hired by this woman who wants Sidney to follow her prospective groom and see if he's fooling around. So he has gone to the site where they live to scope out the area before he goes on his first surveillance. And on the way back from that location, he decides to stop off at the home where he used to live with his wife before her tragic death. So that's where I pick up the story. Driving gives a man time to think, sometimes too much time. My idle thoughts drifted to Molly in that wretched day and what my life had become since. I was on the Seward Highway slowing for a red light at Northern Lights Boulevard when, on an impulse, I jerked the wheel to the left and pointed the car westbound toward one of the more affluent parts of the city. 5 minutes later, I hooked a left and then a right and another left and pulled to the curb in front of a handsome two-story brick dwelling with forest green shutters and a manicured lawn. I slumped down in my seat and stared at the front door, zombie-like. After a while, I heard a soft patter on the windshield. I sat listening to the rain tap out a slow and steady rhythm. A weary smile curled my lips. How long had it been? 9, 10 years? And yet, in my mind's eye, I saw her sitting next to me like it was yesterday. She was beaming when she turned to me and said, "I love it." "Really?" I replied. "You haven't even seen the inside." "Sometimes you just know." "How do you know?" "I have a feeling." "You have a feeling? Haven't you ever just had a feeling?" I didn't answer. She said, "This is the one." "Don't you want to know if the washer and dryer work? Or the dishwasher? What about a workbench?" "That's just stuff. Look at this place. I love the trees and that big brass door knocker. It feels right to me." I just stared at her and sighed. "Okay, but can I at least have a peek inside the garage?" She hugged me until my neck hurt. We won't regret this." A sharp rap on the window brought me back to the present. I peered through the rain-dappled window at a broad-shouldered man with a thick crop of black hair, wearing gray sweatpants and a matching sweatshirt. He motioned for me to roll down the window. I did. A thin, straight line of a mouth opened. "You lost, pal?" "No, waiting for someone?" "I used to live here." It didn't register at first, but then he took a step back, as if struck by a blast of hot air. "Say, aren't you the husband of that woman who—" "Damn. Look, mister, I'm sorry. You could sit here if you want. You know, you've got this neighborhood watch group, and, well, we like to—" I held up a hand. "It's okay. I was just leaving." I heard him say, "Hey, pal, are you okay?" as the Subaru inched away from the curb. When I glanced at the rearview mirror, he was still standing there in the rain, watching me. So that's just a little taste of the novel and the other books. They are written in first person from the perspective of Sidney Reed, this rather damaged detective. If you read the book, I hope you will enjoy it and enjoy the character and the other characters in the book. And I think you will get a flavor for what it's like in Alaska and the grandeur of the mountains and the atmosphere and so forth. So thank you very much.